Welcome to the Wind Up with Will, your host, Will Lewis. And today we're going to be talking about the World Series preview, my predictions for the World Series, and the Rugby World Cup again, which is rounding up this weekend. So to get us started, um, the ALCS and NLCS wrapped up earlier this week. Hoping to make a video sooner, but only got to it today. So on Monday, the Rangers won Game 7 against the Astros. They won Game 6 the night before, Sunday night, and they won again on Monday. And then the Diamondbacks did the same thing, except different days. They won Game 6 against the Phillies on Monday, and Game 7 against the Phillies on Tuesday. Now these were good. These were really good series to watch and follow. It was the first time in Major League history that in both league championship series that you had the road team win Game 6 and Game 7 to go to the World Series. First time that happened in both leagues at the same year. So that was pretty cool. And I really thought it would maybe be the Phillies. I thought the Phillies were going to come out of it. I thought the Astros were probably going to edge out the Rangers, especially once the Rangers were pitching Max Scherzer. He did not pitch well in Game 7 for the Astros, or for the I'm sorry, he did not pitch well in Game 7 for the Rangers, but he pitched well. He really didn't pitch that. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and threw 44 pitches before they brought in Jordan Montgomery. And they went to Spores, I think is how you say his name. And you had Chapman, and then Leclerc, I believe is how you say their reliever's name or their closer's name. But all in all, it was pretty amazing to watch both of those teams win on the roads in Game 6 and Game 7, and also to see teams that we normally don't see in the World Series. It feels like the first time forever the Astros haven't reached the World Series. The Phillies reached it last year, so it's good to see some new teams in the World Series. The Rangers have never won it. They've never won the World Series. They were runners-up in 2010 to the Giants, in 2011 to the Cardinals in that very famous World Series that had Game 6 with David Freese and his heroics in Game 6 that will live on in Cardinal history, in baseball history as well. The Diamondbacks have only ever been to the World Series once before. That was all the way back in 2001, and they won against the New York Yankees in 7 games. They had that famous walk-off with Luis Gonzalez. The Yankees brought the infield in. Luis Gonzalez hits that little kind of floater to center field. The Diamondbacks win the World Series. Um, And it's funny enough that both of those teams' prior trips to the World Series came not long after getting rid of Buck Showalter as a manager. Um, I don't really think that that's a knock on Buck Showalter. I just think that that's how it turned out because I think the Diamondbacks maybe would still succeed and maybe still win the World Series if Buck Showalter's there in 2001. The Rangers are probably still good and competing, if not making the World Series in those 2010, 11 years. And I don't think the Mets should have fired him. He was not the reason the Mets were bad this year. But as a Mets fan, that's hopeful for me that in a few years we might be going to the World Series since we got rid of Buck Showalter, since that seems to be the trend with all his teams, or most of his teams. The Orioles haven't gone to the World Series since I got rid of him, but they're close. They're getting close. Um, anyway, getting back to the current state of the game or the current games going on. So that means the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies, Rangers beat the Astros. They play each other in Game 1 tonight. By the time this video uploads, it will probably be a few innings into the game, considering that this is we're 10 minutes, a little more than 10 minutes before game time, and it usually takes a little bit longer for the video to upload once I finish recording. But game 1 tonight, I think is going to be a really good game 1. We've got Zach Gallen going for the Diamondbacks. He's been their ace all year. In the postseason, though, he's 2-2 with a 5.24 ERA. So he's not exactly pitched like an ace here in the postseason. I know down the stretch he didn't pitch as well as he did in the first half of the regular season, but he's still a really good pitcher. And going for the Rangers is who I've said has been their ace all year, and that's Nathan Eovaldi. He's 4-0 in the postseason with a 2.42 ERA. There's a reason they picked him to be the game one starter. He's been their best pitcher all year. I've said throughout the year that he should maybe be a candidate for comeback player of the year. I know he's been a good player before, but he didn't play a ton last season. Comeback had this great year this year. At one point, I kind of thought he was in contention for the Cy Young. I don't think he's going to win. I think it's going to be Garrett Cole in the American League. But he's had a phenomenal year, and he's been a huge part of the Rangers' success, part of that pitching staff that they just completely revamped over the offseason. Now, I think on paper the Rangers have the better team. I mean, their lineup is really good and has guys who have been all stars before and some really exciting young players. And then they have, I would say, probably the better. I would say probably the better pitching staff, but it's close. I think the Diamondbacks isn't quite as good as the Rangers, but the Rangers, I think top pitchers have performed better, at least somewhat, at least here of late. So I mentioned Nathan Eovaldi and Zach Gallen. I think who do I see pitching was game. That's game. Those are the game one starters. Game two starters for the Rangers is going to be Jordan Montgomery, who they acquired in the midseason trade with the Cardinals, and Morel Kelly for the Diamondbacks. That'll be a good pitching matchup as well. I don't know if they have. I don't know if they have game three starters yet. Do they have game three? I think it looks like the Diamondbacks have a probable starter, Brandon Pfaadt. I think that's how you say his name. The Rangers are undecided at the moment. That'll probably change in the next coming days. But for the first two games, we've got Nathan Eovaldi and Zach Gallen tonight. And tomorrow we've got Jordan Montgomery and Morel Kelly. I think the Rangers are the better team. I think the Rangers are going to get their first World Series win. First World Series title, I should say. They've won some games in the World Series before. They've just never won the series. I think they're going to win it this time. I think they've got the better pitching. I think they're going to. I think even though Zach Gallen's a good pitcher, I think Nathan Eovaldi's pitched better in this postseason. The Rangers are going to edge out Game One. It might be more of a low-scoring game, but there could be some home runs. Both teams have very potent lineups, and that's why I say I think the Rangers have the edge. But the Diamondbacks are a very capable team. They've been very good in this postseason. They've had a good lineup. They've hit well. They've pitched well. They're a solid team. There's a reason they're here. They've been on a run. Um, I'm looking at tomorrow night. Tonight, here's the lineup. I was going to go through the lineup. So for the Diamondbacks tonight in their lineup, they've got Corbin Carroll leading off, and Ketel Marte, Geraldo. No, it's what's his name? Gabriel Marino is their catcher batting third. Christian Walker batting fourth. Tommy Pham, the former Met, DHing. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., left field. Alec Thomas. Center field, Evan Longoria at third base, and Geraldo Perdomo. That's who I thought I was about to say at batting third. I was a little confused. I was like, why is he batting third? But he's actually batting ninth. Geraldo Perdomo, the shortstop, is batting ninth. They've got a really solid lineup, and I just now noticed they have their stats showing on the lineup too. That maybe would have been helpful to look at. They've got a really good lineup with Corbin Carroll leading off. He had 54 stolen bases this year. Phenomenal rookie player. He's going to be rookie of the year in the National League. Absolutely phenomenal player. Had a phenomenal year. Huge reason why they're here. He'll get some MVP votes. I've heard people earlier in the season talking about him as an MVP candidate. He's not going to win. It's going to be Ronald Acuna Jr., but he might finish third. That's a possibility. Probably not. It'll probably be like Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts ahead of him, but he'll get votes. For sure, though, rookie of the year. Ketel Marte been a phenomenal player. He's been a great second baseman for the Diamondbacks for several years now. Christian Walker is a big power threat for them. Tommy Pham is a sneaky good hitter. He can come through in some big moments in big ways for teams, and he's shown in the past. Evan Longoria's had big moments in his career. He's a solid veteran player. They've got a good lineup, but I think the Rangers have the better lineup. So leading off tonight for the Rangers is Marcus Semien, and they've got Corey Seager. Is it Elijah Carter? Evan Carter. Sorry, I don't know all the players. Evan Carter, Adolis Garcia, Mitch Garver, Jonah Heim, then Nathan Lowe, Josh Young, and Tavares. Leody Tavares. That's their lineup. I think they have the better lineup. You've got Marcus Semien, who nearly hit 30 home runs this year. A few years ago, he hit 40 home runs for the Blue Jays, got that huge contract from the Rangers out of it. You've got Corey Seager, one of the highest paid players in baseball, and he performed like this year. He batted 327, had 30 home runs, 33 home runs to be exact, 96 RBIs. Phenomenal player, great defensive shortstop. That's a great 1-2 punch at the top of the lineup. Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. Phenomenal way to start a lineup. Evan Carter, I don't know about him batting third. He came up recently. I know he was the guy that came up in he was a September call up and he made the postseason roster. And it's kind of weird that he's batting third for them, but it's worked for them so far. Bruce Bochy is kind of known for making some decisions like some of those gut kind of feelings. It's worked for him so far. Might work again. Adolis Garcia, who's been a massive power threat for them for a few years. He had 39 home runs this year. They got him batting cleanup. Mitch Garver, who's a capable player, he has 19 home runs on the year. Jonah Heim's their catcher. He has 18 home runs. Nathan Lowe has 17 home runs, their first baseman. And batting in eighth, the guy who's very likely to be American League Rookie of the Year, Josh Young, has 23 home runs. So it's kind of interesting that probably the two guys who are going to be Rookie of the Years in their respective leagues are facing each other in the World Series. And it's kind of cool. But they have him all the way batting eighth, where Corbin Carroll's batting leadoff for the Diamondbacks. I don't really know why they have Josh Young batting that low. If I were them, I would do the lineup differently. I would probably have Semien lead off, and then go, I don't know, someone like Evan Carter or maybe Josh Young second, Corey Seager third, Adolis Garcia four, Jonah Heim fifth. But they might want to kind of break up righty lefty batting. And there's also the kind of that weird analytical thing where people like to have their better hitters and home run hitters batting like 1-2 rather than 3-4, like they traditionally do. But that's just kind of how the game is now. I think the Rangers should have the slight edge though in this series. I think they've got the better lineup. They have home field advantage, and as history tells us, the home team wins in the World Series like 50.5% of the time, so it's a slight edge. It's not the home team has a slight edge, but don't. I wouldn't put too much into home field. And both of these teams won games 6 and 7 on the road, so both these teams are capable of winning on the road, performing in big moments on the road. They've got good pitching. They've got good lineups. I think the Rangers have a slightly better pitching staff with Nathan Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery, throw Max Scherzer in there. I think they have a slightly better starting pitching, better pitching rotation than the Diamondbacks, and I think that's going to play a bit of an edge because you can bet that probably one or two of these games are going to come down to a pitcher having a really good night and the other team hardly scoring any runs. So, I mean, it could be hard though because these are both some good lineups. But I think the Rangers are going to win Game 1, and I think the Diamondbacks will hit back in Game 2 and still Game 2. I think the series will go 6 or 7 games. Sorry. I'm going to say that the Rangers win in 6. I think they'll win in 6, but Diamondbacks could force a Game 7. You never know. I think this is going to be an awesome series. It's going to be awesome for baseball. You're going to see two teams that normally don't make it there. The Diamondbacks have a chance to win their second World Series title. The Rangers have a chance to win their first World Series title. So it's definitely it's always exciting when you have different teams make it to the championship round in any sport. It's always more exciting. At least I think. But yeah, I'm going to say the Rangers had the slight edge in winning this World Series. I also wanted to mention the Rugby World Cup. It's been a bit since I've talked about that. Let me pull up. Should have already had it pulled up. The the scores of the semifinals games. If I can get it pulled up. Uh, South Africa beat England, and New Zealand squashed Argentina. Like that was a complete blowout, complete domination. Let me get those scores up. And then I've got to turn on. I'm going to turn on the World Series. It's about to start. So in the semifinals, New Zealand beat Argentina 44-6. I kind of saw that coming. I said New Zealand had a pretty easy path to the finals, beating Argentina. However, I kind of thought they may be playing England. Part of me thought that England South Africa is a toss up on who was going to win that, and I watched the game. It was a phenomenal game. A lot of kicking involved in the game, and it came down to the end. South Africa made a very long penalty kick to go ahead, and England tried their hardest to push in and score at the end, and they turned it over on a penalty, and South Africa wins. Um, just how it goes sometimes. I didn't really know who to root for. Just part of me wanted to see England get there since England's not won it as much as South Africa and New Zealand. I did not want Argentina. It would have been nice to see New Zealand lose, but I don't think Argentina deserves to win both football World Cups. They don't deserve to win the FIFA World Cup and the Rugby World Cup in a year's time. You can't dominate multiple sports called football. Argentina. You need to let other teams win some. So New Zealand beating Argentina, kind of that was that everyone saw that coming. South Africa beating England, I think, was a toss up, and that's at least how I viewed it. But South Africa edged England out 16-15. Great game, a lot of kicking, a lot of defense, and it looked like England was kind of run away for it. But South Africa started hitting their stride and scored a try, and the momentum just started swinging their way. And then they get that late penalty kick, and they bring in uh, they I forget the guy's name. I forget the player's name. Excuse me. I'm not as knowledgeable on rugby as I am other sports. They bring in. Here, let me see if I can actually pull up. Oh, thought I could pull up lines through that. What was the South African player's name? It's going to bug me now that I can't think of his name. Collard. That was his name. He was the guy who kicked the penalty kick late. It was a very long penalty kick. One in the game. They're on to the finals to face New Zealand, and if you're not a fan of New Zealand or South Africa, you probably didn't want this. I didn't want this World Cup final. I kind of want to see Ireland go all the way, win, win when they've never even made it out of the quarterfinal. Um, but this is an exciting matchup. Whoever wins this is going to have the most Rugby World Cup titles all time. Right now, they're both tied with three after South Africa won 4 years ago. So whoever wins this is big. They can claim to be the true champions at rugby. I kind of think New Zealand takes a slight edge in this, but South Africa I think has been the better team. They've been the better team. New Zealand has kind of slipped recently, but they've made it through. They beat the hardest team. They beat Ireland, who beat South Africa. So in their minds, they've got to be thinking we can beat South Africa. So I'm going to give New Zealand the slight edge and say they win. That game is tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Peacock. Go watch it. It's going to be awesome, fun, exciting. Go watch that. I don't think I can really pull for either team because I'm not fans of either team, but I'm just going to watch it and enjoy the game. Hope the players have fun, and I hope you all have fun out there as well watching that game if you so choose. But those are my just kind of takes on the World Series and the Rugby World Cup. If I had more time, I would do hockey. I will do a hockey video soon on my hockey season predictions. Hopefully, I can make that later tonight and maybe have that air sometime tomorrow. Um, but that's all I've got for this episode. If you like my takes on New Zealand winning the Rugby World Cup and the Rangers winning the World Series, if you disagree with them, let me know down in the comments. Give me your thoughts on who's going to win the World Series, who's going to win the Rugby World Cup. Your other sports predictions, like who's going to win the Stanley Cup in hockey this year. Just let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring that little bell, whatever the things are down below. Do all of them, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.